Thank you for joining us today for the February 6, 2023 Village Board of East Aurora meeting. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Maureen. Can I have attendance, please?
Trustee Lexicus. Trustee Cameron.
Here.
Trustee Vijay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Kimmelhurt.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for January 17th, 2022?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract for 2623 for voucher numbers 63121 to 63198 for a total of $192,253.75?
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Marcia. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. All right, going to our first speakers and communications. This is your opportunity to speak on any topic you like. Raise your hand when called on. If you could come up and give us your name and address and let us know what your issue is. There will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting to do the same thing. Anyone for this first session? Very good. We don't have any public hearings today. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to appoint Ben Smith to the position of part-time public safety dispatcher to start on or after February 7th, 2023?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second. Second by Ernie. Further discussion? Shane? Thoughts on Ben?
Ben, he currently is with the fire department, he's currently with the fire department. He is looking to change fields and wants to become a dispatcher. He has hopes of becoming a full-time dispatcher and would like to start here part-time, and he's taking the test the end of this month for the county civil service test. So he is an excellent candidate. He lives local in the village, and I think we may be able to keep him here long-term.
Great.
Great. All right, any other discussion? Moved by Kristen, seconded by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Congratulations, Ben. Can I get a motion to award the bid for the culvert modification project to Camco General Contractors Incorporated?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Marcia, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion. Kathy, you want to touch on this, please?
Sure. So obviously we've been working with our engineers who put together bid plans and specs that went out for bid and got opened last week. The village board does have the bid tabulation. The bids ranged from the low bid that is a recommendation for award to Camco is $199,455, and they range up to pretty much 100,000 over that, up to 290, with another the highest company that came in at a bid. So the recommendation of award from our engineers is to award to the low bidder, and they have done their research as far as that contractor is concerned, and are giving us a recommendation without any reservations to award the low bid to Camco for that project.
And any other discussion from the board? Moved by Marcia, second by Grace. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to declare 2 Ford Interceptor police cars surplus property to sell at auction?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second by
Second.
Grace. Further discussion. Shane, any input?
No.
Very good.
Nice job.
And you got
We'll get the results back on Friday before your next meeting. And we'll get those out to you in an email as quick as possible so you can consider it over the weekend
Thanks.
and then go from there.
So last time we put the two up for auction, we didn't get the prices we wanted, so we pulled them back, put them back up for auction again. And
Got
those
same
I think had
prices.
both been in like major accents, right? One of them had been.
One of them had been and the other one,
Yeah.
I don't know. But we'll see what this brings. It's still considerably more than what they were offering as a trade-in. So we're still ahead of the game.
Very good. Thank you. Moved by Kristen, second by Grace. Any other discussion from the board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to adopt the 2023 capital plan as submitted by the capital committee?
So moved.
Moved by Marcia, second by Steve. Further discussion? Maureen, you want to touch on this one, please?
So the capital committee met for months with the department heads and reviewed their requests and their ranking. And we put together a spreadsheet that kind of guides how to budget for these items. There is more than 6 years in there. But it's at least 6 years. So there's plenty of information. There's suggestions on how to account and pay for those items and kind of the ranking of which ones become the most important. I'm sure it could change if we had any kind of a major issue, if there was, a water issue or whatever, but this is our general guidelines.
Very good. So these are force ranked by category,
Yes.
but not cross ranked outside of each of the headers, correct?
Yeah, the water fund does the water, so that has to be separate regardless. And it's really hard to rank, fire department apparatus with a DPW piece of equipment.
Mm.
We ranked everything of what was most important to that department. And then we kind of have to consider that each year we're giving a little bit to each. So we've been using reserves a lot to not have to raise taxes as much so that we could save for the items and buy them cash instead of paying, the millions of dollars in interest of taking on debt for it. The other thing is we, as a capital committee, we kind of considered the fact that we really shouldn't be taking on debt unless there's an emergency in the next 6 years, and how we were going to accomplish doing these items without doing a huge raise in taxes and take on debt.
Very good. Good strategy. Any other discussion from the board? Well, we appreciate the capital committee's time. How many times did they meet to put this together with Kristen and
Oh, man.
you?
4 or 5.
I think it was a little bit more than that.
Yeah, a couple more than that. But
Yeah.
As well as
I'm thinking it's
reviewing.
more 8 to 8, 9.
Yeah,
Something
meeting
like
with
that.
each department head, reviewing everything, putting it all together,
Mhm.
and they're all volunteers, so
Yeah.
we appreciate their efforts.
I will say the one thing that you'll see at the very bottom, that projects for future ranking is where we put anything about sidewalks. There's a little blurb in our kind of philosophical write-up of the plan. So the capital committee took the view that sidewalks are really, there's such an issue, like the village board really needs to look into
Mhm.
the issue of sidewalks more than the capital committee, because that deals much more with what the residents want and need in particular areas.
Mhm.
So we think it would be a good idea to look at that. We think it has a lot to do with a neighborhood feel. But we're sort of leaving that to the village board. So just to note that.
I also have an appreciation for the comments on Hamlin Park too. So we've been trying to deal with the things that think are most pressing and trying to get through what we can afford. But once we get through this batch of projects, then relook at the plan and see where we are.
Very good. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I
Opposed? Approved. I get a motion for permission to sign a renewal agreement with the Burke Group for GASB 75 actuary services.
So moved.
Moved by Molly, second by Kristen. Further discussion? Who wants to talk GASB?
I don't really want to talk about
Yes,
Gatsby,
you
but
do. Yes. please.
we are required to do this. We have to hire an actuarial to do the work. It's not something that I would be able to do. They've been our actuarial for quite a while. They've always given us good service. We've not had any issue with them.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion? Moved by Molly, second by Kristen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission on March 7th, 2023, a site plan application for 203 Main Street by Abstract Architecture PC, Michael Anderson.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second by Marcia. Further discussion? Anybody have any early questions for Michael Anderson while he's here? Would you like to come up and shower us with your wisdom? It's nice seeing you in Lowe's the other day.
What did you say?
In Lowe's, wasn't it? Home
Yes.
Depot?
Oh, yes, it was. Yeah.
Lowe's. Yeah, remember I
Everything you
I
found?
lent you $40. Yeah, look at, and he's like, what? What?
Couldn't get the lights we were looking. We needed 3, they had 2.
Mm,
So, yeah, go for it. Michael Anderson, Abstract Architecture, 313 Broadway, Buffalo, New York. Here representing Katie and Clark Crook for 203. Again, this is a continuation of the discussions we've had over the last couple of years about that property. It's taken us a little longer than we thought to get here. We did make every attempt we could to relocate the little house. In the end, some of its parts went to a couple of good places, but we were unable to pull that one off. So this is the proposed plan. It is a mixed use residential unit, 3 commercial spaces, 2 on the first floor, 1 on the second, and a residential dwelling on the second. The commercial space on the second floor will be the hub of the Crooks business. That's where they'll do all of their office work out. That's the 5 current employees that they have will be working out of there. There is no determination on who will be in the 2 tenant spaces on the first floor. They are obviously in the front, ideal for a mercantile storefront facility right on Main Street. I believe the back space is very ideal for a professional business office. And then the dwelling upstairs is a 1-bedroom, presumably in the future for the Crooks themselves, but a family member in the meantime. We're doing everything we can, and obviously we'll discuss this with the planning board to make it feel like it's part of the village. The design goal that Katie asked us to do is more of a reflection of their other buildings, which are residences that are being turned to commercial use. So there's we've got the feeling of that old house on the second floor, which is being converted to a business. We have, our window sizes are more residential in scale on the upper floors. We have the fenestration you would typically see on an older village home. Beyond that, any questions? I'm here for you guys.
So this is a 23-24 project, right?
Yeah, everything goes well. Foundations maybe late in the year, but we're like I said in the application, we're anticipating 2024 for start.
I do have one question. Maybe this is a Liz question. I'm not sure, but if there's going to be a residence there, how do we have dedicated parking for a resident?
There are some spaces directly behind this property, but I'm not aware of what the parking lease agreement is. So that's something
it's
that'll
not-
have to be looked into.
Oh, okay. It's not part of the public lot, though. Okay.
They have 4 spaces that are part of this property off that lot.
Okay.
Again.
Right off the
it
bat.
would-
part,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Good? For now? Very good. Thank you, Michael.
I promise you I'll get you that $40.
All right, moved by Steve, second by Marcia. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, referred to the planning commission. Can I get a, thanks, Mike. I get a motion to refer to the planning commission on March 7, 2023, a special use application for 636 East Fillmore for Blue Eyed Baker.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Grace. Further discussion. Nope. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. It's referred for March 7. Can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing on February 21st to consider a special use permit for 640, 650 Main Street Homegrown Kitchen?
So
So-
moved.
Second.
Moved by Kristen, second by Marcia. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Scheduled for February 21. Can I get a motion to schedule a public hearing on March 6 to consider local law to amend Village Code Section 285 zoning tables 20.3 and 21.3 requiring a special use permit to locate a mobile food vendor on a commercial property.
So moved.
Moved by Grace, second.
Second.
Second by Steve. Further discussion? It's for the public hearing. Liz, do you want to? Anything you want to say, or Kathy, about this?
Just this is a result of a discussion that we did have with Liz, and Maureen and I were all in a meeting together. We looked at if there was any reason really to amend the language within either both the sections of the code for the mobile food vendors or for the special use permits. And this is all a result of one thing that we had not anticipated with one property had hoped to have a mobile food truck somewhat permanently located on a property, which we had not anticipated previously. So Liz's suggestion was our best approach was not necessarily to amend the language within the code, but there's two charts within the code this is referring to that show what you need in order to do certain things within certain districts. These happen to be, of course, commercial districts. And this is proposing to add that if you are proposing to locate a mobile food truck on a property within a commercial district, that is a requirement that you either, if you already have a special use permit and you want to do that on a regular basis, that you would need to get that permit amended, or if you do not even have a special permit yet because you don't need one previously on your commercial property, that you would need a new special use permit in order to do that. The other alternative that anyone would have and has used in the past is if you wanted to just do this for 1 or 2 times and bring something to the board that was a temporary use permit, could certainly do that. But if there's something on an ongoing basis where an established commercial business would like to let a food truck locate in their parking lot, maybe when they're not open, there's a situation similar to that, then that would require, and it's more clear with amending the charts and having it right in our code, that is definitely a requirement for the property owner and or business owner to get to have that approved as part of a special, well, to request approval, I would say. And then it will always be, of course, up to the board and possibly even with referral to the planning commission under review, whether or not you feel that that's something that should happen, depending on what all the details of a particular application happen to be.
Very good. All right, any other discussion? Moved by Grace, second by Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approves. Public hearing is set for March 6. All right, moving on to new business, discussing a resolution in opposition to the proposed ban on natural gas heating and appliances in New York State. Kathy, have you had time to take a breath?
This is actually from our local group that is the Erie County Governments, Council of Erie County Governments, I believe, is the group. And I just saw online that a couple of other governments have already done this. And the group feels as though it would be a positive thing if everyone is in agreement, of course, or the majority, that it's not believed that the state, any state proposal to ban these type of uses or appliances or whatever the case may be, as far as using natural gas, that is not in the interest of New York State residents, even though some people at the state level apparently are making proposals and think that perhaps it would be. So this is to show that as a local government that you are not necessarily in agreement that you would like the state to take a long, hard look at that if that's something that they would think to potentially do, and potentially that perhaps they would not do it if they hear from enough of the local governments representing the citizens that that is not looked upon favorably.
So it was written by the Erie County Association of Governments, which is all the towns and villages in Erie County, right? That association came up with most of this verbiage that you kind of customized for East Aurora.
Yeah, Maureen did that.
Maureen did, thank you.
I was out last week.
And it's, the state put this out to end the sale of new fossil powered heating equipment by 2030. And what does that say? All new construction needs to be zero emission, starting in 2025 for small buildings, 2028 for large buildings. And President Biden and the White House have come out against any prohibition of gas stoves. Well, basically, the thought is in Western New York, if electric goes out and you have all electric everything,
Mhm.
you're in trouble in
Well, and
in
the
a winter
cost.
storm.
The cost having to
And the cost.
retrofit everything and.
It's only
lawsuits.
for new construction though.
It wasn't retro, I don't think, right?
No, eventually in 2030 has to be everything.
The end of sale of new
the-
fossil
all-
powered
all
heating
the-
equipment.
Right.
And it also states that by 2030, distributorships and manufacturers cannot sell gas appliances in New York State as well.
So your boiler, your gas boiler in your basement, you then have to find a way to get an electric boiler, which I don't know how that would work. Find a way to make that work for you in this climate and hope the power doesn't go out.
Well, the stress on the grid as
Uh,
well.
Yeah, plus we don't have the infrastructure. The grid isn't where it needs to be. There's just all kinds of questions and problems.
Unless you
I
want,
consider myself fairly green, but this seems
I like-
extreme and
yeah.
risky.
It's, it doesn't really make sense because it's too much too soon. We're not anywhere near generating enough power to do this. And then the cost of, just ordinary families are gonna suffer because of the cost of having to retrofit your house with a completely new heat pump system. To try to find a way to, how do I do it? My house was built in 1880. It's a 3,000 square foot house with a boiler system in 2 zones. I mean, how do I, so now I have to, swap that out eventually in 2030 for and then businesses. This is a major cost for businesses. Electricity costs more than gas. And so now businesses leave because of it. It's just not a very good idea at this point.
I mean, I like the ultimate goal, but I just think this is
I do too.
an overreach.
I hate coal-fired plants because I've seen what that does to the lakes in the Adirondacks that were dead for years that are now coming back. I get that. I think making people be more energy efficient in the construction of homes and, or putting in new windows and. I just can't see the ordinary senior citizen on a fixed income or a middle class family with children having to take their home and try to retrofit it. It just doesn't, I just can't see that happening.
How the rest-
It'd drive people away.
How the rest of you feel as far as a resolution, just trying to send a message to the state?
I agree.
yeah. It's gonna stress the grid, seriously. In California, they have rolling brownouts. You get electric between 7 and 10, you get it between noon and 2. And I just don't know how they're gonna keep up with it in the timeline that they're specifying in the number of years that they want to do
And
it.
you had all the
And-
electric cars and chargers to the system.
And
the grid.
try to find a plumber, try to find a heating contractor. I'm lucky because my son does that. But you try to find enough people that can go out and do the work. With the current situation in terms of filling, and all the contractors, all the mechanical contractors, they struggle trying to find workers trying to do this. I mean, that's another issue. It just doesn't make any sense.
Let's turn the whole industry upside down.
Yeah,
If I could just add on the public safety side of it. The blizzard that we had on Christmas weekend with the power out.
Right.
There was a lot of people that for any heat in their house, it was from their gas stove. This area is just, winter storms and power outages. If the electricity's out, you have no heat if it's all electric. So.
Good point.
to those people who say, well, then why don't you just get a gas powered generator? Well, that's a major cost for somebody on a fixed income or a middle class family that kids, it's not feasible. I just don't, I like the concept. I think we need, someday, hopefully. we have a planet that, where somebody comes up with something that will provide consistent, safe, renewable energy that, but with this climate that we have, or you go up to the Adirondacks when Saranac Lake was almost 30 degrees below zero last week.
Wow.
How do you heat a house with electric, or a heat pump when it's 30 degrees below zero?
I did it over the weekend.
You did it? With electric, all electric floor heat?
Year-old house, 600 square feet, right on Main Street. For the last few years, I've switched to all heat pumps. It's incredibly efficient because you get the zone. I also have one zone in my house with the gas, which is ridiculous. And look, if you believe climate change is happening, the question isn't should we do this or do not do this? It's if not this, then what? We simply have to get our emissions down to zero. And this is a stepped in approach, at least taking out anything that exists when things need to be replaced. But you tell me how you get to zero emission and stop climate change and all the havoc that's already creating. I'm in the process. I have a virtually electric house now. I still have the gas backup. And you're right, the backup when the power goes out is important. Just today, I was looking at an F-150 Lightning truck, which can serve as a backup to the house.
What's that?
I would, sir, could you, if you want to come up and talk though,
You want to come up?
but
give us
give
your
your
name and
address,
address?
we'd appreciate it, please. Thank you.
Nobody asked.
Well, you raised your hand, so if you, would you just let us know your name and address?
Yeah, my name is Eric Carlson. I live on Main Street here in the village. I happen
Thank
to
you.
run an environmental organization and would be happy to talk offline over coffee or whatever with anybody who wants this. If I can, 30.
So
45
it
seconds.
costs me to retrofit my 3,000 square foot house with water boilers to all electric.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Well, the
No.
electric heat pumps through the utility have quite a rebate on them. But what are they? I forget what they're called. They're like heat pump electric water heaters or something. So, I haven't done that yet, but when my current one goes out, that's exactly what I'll be switching to. It's doable. One quick example. Elon Musk, when he was building like Giga 2 or whatever, they were trying to reduce their gas use. And the people kept coming back and say, we just can't, and he said, screw it. We're just not going to add, we're just not going to add a gas line to the factory. Sort it out, figure it out. And they did. And so they were able to, the one in Nevada, they were able to set up without any gas connection. We've got to figure out how to do it. And it can be done. I'm doing it with my house now. I may have a few more resources than some, but.
Well, that's the key. I mean, I have the resources to do it if I want to, but my fear is those who have limited resources
Okay,
to be able to do that, even with rebates. And do it as quickly and get the grid up as quickly as they say it needs to be there, and then the power generation as well. I mean, that's a huge lift. And I believe in climate change. I believe it's happening.
then
I
we've
know
got,
it's happening.
then we got to get to zero.
Well, I agree with that. I don't disagree with that, but I think also there's the economic, the reality of it is there's a huge percentage of the population that will not be able to afford to do this, that do not have the means to do it. And they will suffer and they will leave the state, as will businesses who say, that's it.
These changes, while they require upfront money, this is why you start with new construction.
Right.
You add $10,000 onto the cost of the house, which is a $50 on your mortgage, and you save $75. So other than the sticker price, it doesn't cost you more. Solar panels, which everybody should be having somebody come out to their house to look and having them put on their house. I'm paying 6 cents a kilowatt hour for the kilowatt hours coming out of my solar, and roughly 20 cents for the remainder.
Was that put in on did you get concessions or any kind of a rebate on that?
I got the 30% federal and whatever the state was.
Incentives?
Yep.
Do you know, I mean, you're in the industry then is what you just said. What is if you can educate us on, how is most of the electricity in New York State used?
Oh,
What
boy,
forms of
our
energy are you-
specific grid, I know that nationally we're down to about 23% coal, which is down from about 55% 15 years ago. 35% gas. What's my 25%? Well, then you've got 20% nuclear, 10% hydro, 3% oil in the Northeast, and the rest renewables, maybe 10%.
Out of all those, you mentioned 15% that aren't using fossil, or,
So
I
about,
mean, 50% of what you said was fossil.
yep. Yep, so we gotta get,
So we ramp up electrical equipment, then we have to ramp up electrical production to provide it for the equipment.
Yeah.
And what's in place right now is over 50% not fossil fuel. How are we gonna ramp
Well,
up?
the lowest cost new kilowatt hour that you can generate comes from solar or wind. If you had to, if you were gonna
Agreed.
build a new plant today, you wouldn't look at nuclear because that costs too much.
Right,
You wouldn't look at coal. And natural gas is sort of on the bubble, but of course it's a variable cost.
and then the unclear thing to me in my thinking of this is the processes to get the solar and the wind energy as well.
Mhm.
The lifespan of the blades that you can't recycle. That I
We're
understand.
Recycling them. We're at the end of the first generation of.
So now they're
wind
doing
panels,
that?
yeah. And look, the solar panels on my roof,
I'm
I
not,
guarantee you will last forever. They may not be on my house forever, but they'll be on a desert in Nevada forever. They
so
just don't.
solar panels don't have a lifespan.
At their, mine are guaranteed at the end of 25 years to be at, I think, 90 or 88% efficiency.
Okay.
They have no moving parts. They'll just be there forever. I've taken up your time. I apologize.
No,
Yeah.
it's a conversation.
It's a resolution of so I'm sure it's non-binding. But look, there are ways to do this and we've got to figure out how to do it. And I would not want to send the message that no, we shouldn't do this. I think it should be, far more measured of, let's see the plan or something like that. But we got to get where we need to get to. You can quote me on that.
Get where we need to get to.
That's right.
All right.
That was good input. We appreciate it.
Happy to chat with anybody offline about it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Food for thought.
Yeah.
Do we still think we're and tell the state they're moving too fast?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I think if we're declaring something, a resolution, how do we know? I mean, if we're representing our municipality, how do we know how people within this municipality feel? I personally am not comfortable, even before this gentleman spoke.
Declaring for the community.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the general public even knows this is
And-
even a thing.
I think.
And
yeah,
I think there's a
I
lot
think
of
a lot of
misinterpretation.
Think it's out
Yeah.
there, I wonder
I
if
do.
people.
It's on
even know
Facebook.
this.
I would actually, I have my own personal feelings on it, but I would stand to guess that his point of view is probably adopted by minimum of half of the population here. So for us to
Yeah.
minimize that.
Well, Kathy, what's the state's timeline? Do we know on their proposed? Yeah, they're not doing it tomorrow or anything, right?
No,
Maybe it is
they
tomorrow.
have initiatives now. New York State offers heat pump initiatives. There's companies that specialize in energy. Implementing these programs for the state and federal government, and they seek out mostly low to moderate income people that qualify for 100%. And that's a contracting firm who implements what the state does with the rebates, things of that nature. Big thing, heat pumps, like you said, you could get one almost probably close to free right now. So there's a heat pump for a residential situation is $1,500 installed, it's probably $3,000. And they're paying almost that much. There's 700 instant rebates, $700 from New York State, and then the grid utility companies are also offering, and federal too. So they're pressing hard.
Mhm.
And the scary thing for me is not necessarily the equipment, and they're not asking for you and your own home to change everything out. But all new construction like we discussed, but where
They're
does
not
it-
coming for our stoves. I
No,
think
they're
that's
not
the
coming
thing
for
that
your
you're
stove.
Well,
hearing out.
eventually, when you want,
When you can't buy
when it
one,
gets,
it's 6 or 7
2030,
years.
you're gonna have to, but.
Well, I advocate, I love my induction stove, so.
I like cooking on gas.
But it'll be interesting in 5-10 years, right? With a huge rollout of electrical
Yeah.
appliances on the grid
And electrical
can support
vehicles.
And electric.
and the electrical
vehicles.
vehicles.
And
Yeah.
they better then listen to the executives with, the power companies, they need to listen to them as to what their needs are and help them out. They're gonna have to put in more power lines and transmission lines, and they're gonna just simply have to produce more electricity, because we don't have enough now. That's what the experts say, who run these electrical companies.
All right, so does somebody want to make a motion, or do we want to put a pin in this
I
and
think we
gather
wait a
some more
little bit.
public feedback?
I think I get a sense that the board would like to think about it. And give it another couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Engage, talk to their neighbors,
Yeah.
talk to
I'm
their
not
friends.
Can we do a public comment? Kind of like we did about the bridge, just get public's input.
Put it out there for the people to come in, tell us how you feel.
Sure, have it at a board meeting, not a special, not a
Yeah,
special.
yeah.
Yeah, not a.
I mean, I know how I feel about it, but that's maybe not how majority of our community feels about it. I represent the community, I don't represent myself.
So next meeting is the 21st. Kathy, you want to add that, or Maureen, you want to add that to the agenda? Tuesday, the 21st. And add that to the agenda, a public comment period for,
Yeah,
If they need it beforehand, it's not. it
do we
doesn't
have to
matter.
participate? I mean, it's like,
We don't
we
have
don't,
to
I mean, no, it's
participate.
like, we don't have to do this if we
No,
don't
just
want
give
to,
it to
right?
No.
Right.
the Associated Erie County Governments.
Yeah, there's plenty of, yeah.
I think the question is whether the village
Right.
needs for
Yeah.
to comment or
Right.
at all.
Right.
Or not.
Right.
I mean, there's no.
I don't have to.
Of course.
I don't think it hurts to hear the public.
Sure.
I think it's a good thing. I want to hear the people's voice.
The public comes out in mass for. us
Please
to
comment
pass this
on our
resolution.
behalf.
Right,
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
sure.
we act accordingly.
Yeah.
Could the advertiser be coerced into producing an expose about the topic? Because we didn't turn a lot of people's eyes.
Well, you'd have to.
Shelley,
You gotta
expose.
That's got, nothing to do with the board.
You go to Albany and do some digging?
A recent, line. That when, maybe about 30 miles, and they've been trying to bring in solar farms, and a lot of towns are turning away. Like, I do think the state is trying to put more power.
All right, so the 21st of February is the school break, I think.
Oh, right. So maybe
Oh.
that one,
Chris pointed out,
yeah.
Good
so we
catch.
do March 6th.
If it's not already too late.
If it's not too late to weigh in at all.
Sure.
So Kathy, if you could check the date and then Maureen and put it out on our agenda for a public comment on it, just let them know we're gonna have a discussion. We'd love some public feedback. Please.
Even if you're too late, you can still have comment.
You
Right.
can still comment on it,
You
right?
can still have comment because it's
Unless,
good.
unless Hokel's
it's
waiting
gonna
for
come
us. Maybe Kathy's waiting to hear from us.
Well, maybe
Case.
Hammers, you don't come to our meeting.
All right, so, all right, we're good on that discussion for now? No old business, second speakers and communications. You jumped the queue and you already got to speak. So you're good unless you want to speak some more. Anybody else want to speak at the public session? Sir? Jim, thanks for coming.
Surely, thank you for having me.
Dave?
Good evening, Mayor Mercurio. Good evening, everybody from the village board. My name is Jim Malcheski. I'm the new Erie County legislator for District Number 10. Started a month ago, yesterday, and doing my tour around Western New York to
Could you give
introduce
your address?
myself as.
Jim, could you give your address?
What was that?
Your address,
Just for the record, Dan.
just for the record.
Sure. It's 17
Caroline Lane in Elma, 14059.
Thank you.
Surely. Prior to the ledge seat, I was a sitting councilman for 12 years in the town of Elma. I had the privilege of working with the Honorable Bob Pierce over here for a long time.
Thanks for the plug.
Okay. I'm basically just here to introduce myself. Listening to what's going on here tonight, obviously down in the ledge. One of the hot topics that we've touched on is the gas resolution. And just to kind of fill everybody in over here, I've done quite a bit of research on it. And I can tell you that every single day when I go down to Old Erie County Hall, this is the most talked about. This is the most talked about thing with the residents. When I go into my office and I log on, usually there's 5 or 6 emails a day and there's 4 or 5 voicemails a day. And what they are is they're residents that are scared. They're residents that are concerned. They are informed and they're not people that are panicking. A lot of these people have done their due diligence. The one thing that they didn't recognize or really realize is they voted for this unknowingly back in 2019. When the Clean Air Act was put out there, what was put out there was the end result. This is what we're going to do. There was nothing how we're going to get from point A to point C in between. And it's just, this is what we're going to do. Now that all the details are coming out and how we're going to get there, they're coming out slowly but surely, but it's pretty scary. And, I'm not here to create controversy. I'm not here to debate what you're saying and what you did. But I think this last storm really shows that it would be irresponsible if we move forward with this. We're not going to get to net zero because of this. If anything, from what I could see, our grid is in complete disarray right now. We don't even have the cars on there yet. Once the cars get on there and then we get into taking everything out of the houses, when's that going to be done and ready? Why are we proposing this before that's done and ready? You mentioned the cost. From the research that I've done throughout this whole thing, the cost obviously varies according to the age of your house and the size service that you have coming in. The older houses in Buffalo, where you're looking at 60 amp service, you're looking at about $25,000 to $30,000 to upgrade. And great point. Where are these contractors coming from? You can't find contractors right now to do it. I can't tell you too many people in the city of Buffalo that have an extra $30,000 sitting around to do this. When you get into the newer houses out here in the suburbs, the range goes from $15,000 to $25,000, depending on the service and everything that you have. The one thing that really isn't talked about too much is the new football stadium that's not being built right now. There is gas that is being proposed to heat that field. So they're looking to take gas out of your houses. They're not looking to come steal your stove or anything like that. But when your stove breaks, you're done. You can't get a new one. When your furnace breaks, you're done. You can't get a new gas one. But yet they're building a new $1 billion stadium that they're planning on heating that field all winter long with gas lines underneath there, which the gas that is anticipated being used for that is going to be about the same amount that is used in the Rath building. So what Albany is saying is you can't protect yourself, but we're going to take care of this football field over here. Another point, one of the biggest employers in Western New York is National Fuel Gas. When you start cutting their service in this amount, obviously people are going to lose jobs. But in addition to people losing jobs, it's just a matter of time before National Fuel stops investing in infrastructure around here. They do a ton to build the system that they have here that provides for everybody. And obviously, as you lose business, they're going to, they're going to lose the investment opportunity. People are going to lose their jobs. So, that's the big concerns that are out there that I'm hearing on a daily basis. I respect what you guys are doing. The resolution that you have is from Marilyn Calhoun from the Association of Towns. That's exactly the one that the ledge passed. And when it was passed 11-0. When we proposed it, it went across the aisle and it came back and there was a ask of 5 or 6 changes. They were all very small changes, taking words out here or there. When we did review it, at first, the discussion was, no, we can't accept the changes, as it was taking a lot of finger pointing as to who this is all about out. But at the end of the day, myself and my colleagues in discussion felt that it was best to take that out in the best interest of the public, because if this doesn't go forward, there's bigger ramifications than just eliminating a name here or there. So it was very important. So the one that you have from Maryland, that is the absolute complete one with everything changed. Okay.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for introducing yourself, Jim. Right, anybody else, speakers and communications, sir?
Hi, I'm Paul Greatrix, 245 Main Street, corner of South Willow, directly across from Pasquale's. A year ago, we had a very close call of a flood when the intersection filled up. I think the same was true of all the other businesses at the corner. One of the residences in South Willow took some serious damage. I am curious to know what conclusions were drawn about that incident, in particular, the amount of brush that was pulled out of the culvert, which accumulated in a pretty short time. If that is something that is anticipated to happen again, or if there was some explanation for that in particular. Secondly, exactly how will the funnel be changed now to improve the situation? As I recall, there was a funnel put in between the rectangular and the round culvert back when the project was completed a couple of years ago. So curious to know exactly what the new funnel will, how the new funnel will help the situation, and what can be done to keep debris out of the culvert in the first place.
You want me to go ahead and then Matt can chime
That'd
in?
be great, yeah.
So there's not a funnel in the structure right now at that juncture. We're right behind the poke yoke, basically. And the idea is right now, that's the project is part of the project is to add that to facilitate debris getting through that area to alleviate the concerns that you have raised. So that is going to be constructed in there. And as I said earlier, we're also going to move the access completely under the poke yoke property. And we're going to enlarge the existing access because it's not, we had to actually make it much larger when the DPW did the work to remove the debris that did accumulate in there. I'd be happy to have Matt chime in, but we do have right now a routine check that the DPW does, opening up the access and looking to ensure that there's not anything in there that was a concern on a regular basis. So where we didn't.
You can talk about what caused the flood, what we caused the flood.
Well, there was a very unusual weather event. And the answer is there's no conclusions. And I don't know that there will ever be any absolute positive conclusions as far as what occurred and the cause and the effect. There was a very